the Honorable Reinhold Lopatka. Thank you for the honor of joining us here in Rome and for your keynote speech earlier, which my colleague Elena and I very much enjoyed. Her name is Elena, as I've just said.
Hello.
I am called Mia, and we would like to ask you 4 questions just in order to hear your thoughts and your opinions on some salient issues. The first question is, could you please give me an example of what you think cultural diplomacy is?
Yeah, cultural diplomacy is for me the way to bring people together. Cultural diplomacy means for me that politicians, religious leaders of different of different groups of the civil society, they have their opinions, they have their values, and we have to find a way to bring them together in a peaceful way. That doesn't mean that everyone has to accept the values, the thinking of the other one, but to find a way living together in a peaceful way. And I think it's very important for politicians to be involved in this process. Because especially in Europe, you see, on the one hand, we try to do everything to move the European Union in a positive way in the future. On the other hand, you see, if there is a crisis, if there are problems, some of the politicians try with a way in a not European sense, in a very nationalistic sense, to bring the people in their country on their side and promising them a better future if everyone is only thinking for the future of his group. And with his group I mean of his national state. So for me the opposite is cultural diplomacy. Showing the people that, we share a better future if we are working together, bringing groups together, and not to show them the differences.
I appreciate very much your definition, and I do find it really interesting. But how do you think that people can contribute to cultural diplomacy? How would you see this image?
I think now we have opportunities. We are the first generation to have these opportunities, is especially looking at the internet. So it's easy for everyone to communicate, to be connected with people from all over the world all the time. There is no time limit, there is no limit of distances. This is one way. But which is also very important, to bring people face to face as we communicate now. So I think both ways are important. It's much easier to bring people together via internet, via Facebook, Twitter, and so on. So this is one way as I see the future of cultural diplomacy, and the other way, of course, is having such meetings as we had it today, so that we can listen to people, we can try to understand them. And it's very important because you find in each religion people who have a self-definition against others, but you can only have peace with others. So that's the key question.
Thank you.
Very insightful thoughts indeed. And I am wondering, just based on your 2 previous answers, if you really think that cultural diplomacy can resolve conflict, and if working together is the only way, and if not, what would be your other suggestions?
If we can't find a way, then we really face problems, and people have to suffer. You see it every day. Looking to Syria, looking, for example, in the last weeks to the Ukraine. I think there is no alternative. The only way is dialogue, dialogue, dialogue. And if you can't find a way for dialogue and to negotiate these questions, and if you have different views and different interests, the alternative is a real bad one. The alternative is violence, war, and if you have violence, if you have war, then a lot of people, innocent people, have to suffer. So for me there is no alternative.
I believe so. But what do you think about cultural diplomacy being used as a tool within the Austrian society? How do you think that cultural diplomacy might be used?
On the one hand, we have a long tradition in Austria in cultural diplomacy, as I see it, because the Austrians lived together for centuries in a multi-ethnic empire, the Austrian-Hungarian Empire, with 17 different nationalities. So Austria was the first country in Europe, for example, which recognized the rights of the Islamic community. It was in 1912, already in 1912, when in Austria a law passed our parliament, and this law established equal rights for Muslim people in a very Catholic country, because the Austrian-Hungarian Empire was ruled by the House of Habsburg, a strong Catholic family. But they said, inside our empire we have a minority of Islamic people and we have to protect them. And so you see, so we started in a very early time bringing people together and accept that they are different, because Muslim people are different in their daily life from Catholic people, and Jewish people are different from Catholic people. And now in Austria we have 8.4 million inhabitants, and out of these 8.4 million inhabitants, 1.7 million were not born in Austria. It's a huge group with different religions, a different background, different culture. So cultural diplomacy in these days is more important than in the days before. But we have a tradition.
It's very true. Thank you very much, Mr. Lopatka, for your time. It was indeed a great pleasure and honor as for me and my colleague, Mia.
Fine.